Today on the channel, we've got the top 5 G.I. Joe Classified Series figures so far of 2024. Stick around.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans? I got it figured, back with another G.I. Joe Classified Series video. This time, I'm doing an impromptu video at my workplace, so please forgive the lack of production value, but I wanted to do a quick one, and this one's going to be the top 5 G.I. Joe Classified Series figures so far of 2024. So we got some figures here, and they're not on the top 5 list, but I'm going to go into why they're here before we get into top 5 list proper. Now, what's the rules on this? It's got to be a figure that was released in 2024, and it's got to be a figure that I reviewed on the channel. So there's not going to be anybody that I didn't review. And so far, the only thing that's come out that I haven't gotten actually is like Recondo. So it's not going to be too hard to do. We're going to jump into it with some honorable mentions, and one I guess we'll call dishonorable mention, or maybe we'll just call it a disappointment. I wouldn't go as far as to say dishonorable. So we're going to start from the worst to the best. And our dishonorable mention, or disappointing mention, I guess we'll say, is Airborne. So Airborne here is a figure I had high hopes for, and he's doing a lot, but I just feel like he didn't add up to what we kind of were hoping for, or at least what I was hoping for. And the biggest sticking point on this guy is honestly his helmet. The helmet is kind of an iconic part of the character, you know, and it just doesn't sit on right. Now we know why. You've got this strap here, and it just kind of doesn't really gel with his vest. It just kind of makes it stick up. It's all, you know, it's not really cloth, it's all hard plastic. And the helmet itself just sort of floats on his head. So even if you didn't have the strap doing what it's doing, it still would just kind of float on his head. So, you know, it just messes up the look of the figure. Now I've considered either getting another helmet, or maybe, you know, I don't want to buy another Airborne. I don't want to do that. So I might get another helmet and cut the strap and see if it goes on a little bit better. But I don't want to cut the strap on the one that I have because, well, you know, it's the only helmet that I have, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to be even more upset. So last year for me, regular Outback, non-Tiger Force Outback was kind of a disappointment, and you get maybe one a year. And for me, Airborne, he's not a terrible figure. I don't want to go there. I'm not trying to say that, but I just felt like the things that they did could have, you know, they could have made this work a little bit better than they did. So for that, he's my disappointing mention of 2024. So moving right along to the actual honorable mentions, we're gonna go with good old Clutch. Clutch is pretty cool. He's using the Outback body, which is ironic considering Outback is probably the worst use of the Outback body, regular Outback. But what they did with it, they made it, you know, they made it work. Giving him a little bit different accessories than Outback, giving him his kind of iconic classic vest, nice updated helmet, some tats. He looks good. He works. Clutch is an awesome figure, and I didn't want to include the vamp in that calculation because if I went by that, then the vamp would be number 1. So I just judged just Clutch outside of the vamp package itself. So yeah, so there's your honorable mention number 1, good old OG-13 clutch. Second honorable mention is our Iron Grenadiers debut character, Metalhead. And hey, you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Metalhead's one of my favorite characters, because he's not. To me, he's like a new wave scrap iron, and I didn't understand why they didn't just make him be scrap iron, even back in '90 when he came out. Just make him be scrap iron. He just works for Destro, but they didn't. He's his own guy. And I had seen a couple of videos where people were having issues with his missiles and stuff like that. I haven't really had that issue. In fact, he turned out to be a lot better than I gave him credit for. I was actually slow to buy him because people were kind of not happy with him. But I'm very happy with him, and mine works just fine. Everything works great. So bring it on, Hasbro. Metalhead is your second honorable mention. So now we can move on to the list proper. And at number 5, we're going to bring in good old MacArthur S. Ito Quick Kick. So why did I pick him at number 5? Honestly, you know, he's a great figure. In fact, everything on the top 5 list, you know, I feel like they're really good figures. Some of them I could definitively put better than other ones. Other ones, maybe not so much. So the first 3 of the top 5 are figures that I'm like, yeah, I could have switched the order maybe. I could have made him 4, maybe even 3, I don't know. But he's definitely one of the top 5 figures. So in my opinion, Quick Kick is definitely a great figure who needs to be on the list. And, you know, there's no dishonor in whatever number he makes, because he's not 1 or 2. So it's going to be good old Quick Kick. At number 4, had to make sure I had a Cobra on the list for sure. And, you know, Big Boa, as cool as he is, didn't quite get it. But at number 4, the Techno Viper, which I thought was a really awesome update on a classic troop builder, takes that spot at number 4. I guess I should just, you know, stand him up a little bit straighter than having him in this sort of semi-action pose, because he can stand. But they were sitting in my car getting a little bit heated up today, so forgive me. But you got your Techno Viper. He's got all this stuff from back in '87, and he's even got this handy dandy hologram thing, which I think is really cool. I even got, if you watch my Techno Viper review, I even got the gun to go all the way in. So, you know, he's definitely, in my opinion, a better figure overall, probably, than Big Boa. So I wanted to have a Cobra on the list for sure. And there you go, Techno Viper at number 4. At number 3, it could have gone either way, but I decided to go with the 60th anniversary Action Diver. And again, I could have did the Action Soldier, but I was only going to pick one or the other, and I decided to go with the Diver. All this extra bits that he has, the Torpedo didn't get, just makes him just a tad bit cooler. You know, I didn't want to really army build these guys, but I considered it because it's a really cool package for what you get. And again, so is the Action Soldier, in my opinion. I know some people are gonna say, well, we don't have realistic weapons or whatever it is with, you know, people's beef with the Action Soldier, but I don't really have that as a beef. it's a really nice figure. I like it. I just like the diver just a tad more. So he's going to be number 3. At number 2, now is where it got hard and difficult. And when you see what number 2 is, you're probably going to be able to guess what number 1 is. But at number 2, we've got the retro card, First Sergeant of the G.I. Joe team, Duke. This is an awesome upgrade to Duke over the classified figure, 04 Duke. And hey, I don't even hate that figure at all. I just think that this one just sort of makes him obsolete. You can do a better version of something to the point that you don't even want to use the old one, and that's kind of what this one does. And the old one does still kind of live on in my collection a little bit, because the Tiger Force one is still, there's only the Tiger Force one. I had even considered buying another Duke to take the head off and put on the Tiger Force version, but I haven't really done that. I don't like buying extras just to be buying extras. But I don't know. It's a thought. But this guy, he's great. Has everything that you would want in Duke, in my opinion. And so he's number 2. And at number 1, without further ado, we've got everybody's favorite female Joe, or at least my favorite. I could be wrong. She ain't got to be everybody's favorite. She's just got to be mine. At number 1, we've got retro card Scarlet. Well, the retro card figures that were announced earlier this year, she was the one I wanted the most. And once again, I don't hate the 05 Scarlet. I don't hate that figure. I just, the classic interpretations of these characters, the way G.I. Joe Classified series has sort of evolved from what it was to what it is, this one just fits in better with the collection overall. Obviously, it replaces my 05 Scarlet in the collection, but it's not like I hated that figure. So a lot of people, ragged on that figure, didn't like her face, didn't like this, didn't like that, whatever it is. But I had no problem with that. And in a way, that figure also still lives on in my collection, because Agent Helix is a partial of 05 Scarlet. So, she's still getting around in G.I. Joe Classified series in one form or another. But there you have it. That's it. That's my top 5 G.I. Joe Classified series figures thus far from January 2024 to June. And I probably could have made a case to get Mutt and Junkyard on here. Mutt's not a bad figure at all. Particularly Junkyard is really cool. And I didn't want it to be, super recency bias or whatever, but since all of these Joes kind of came out, like Mutt and Junkyard were the only ones that kind of came out at the beginning of the year, that they kind of set them up for that in a way. But they're not bad at all. It's not like I, don't like them. I just had 5 other figures, 7 other figures that I liked more. 6 other figures. I don't know. I wanted Airborne to be better than he is. But even with that, I don't hate him. So I'm gonna stop rambling. But there you go. So that's gonna do it for this one. I know the production value isn't normally up to, I don't have the backdrop and everything with me. I'm shooting this at work, so I wanted to get a video up, and that's the top 5 G.I. Joe Classified series figures so far. We're gonna have a Transformers version of this So stay tuned for that. But until next time, everybody stay safe. See you all on the next one. Peace.
The way I got it figured.